pop up on my Facebook. Bam! What's happening, good people? Y'all know who it is, right? It's me, your homegirl, Ladosha, Wright. As promised, we are gearing up for the press conference here in San Diego, California. We are getting ready to talk about the relaxer, so y'all just sit tight and things will be getting started momentarily. But this is pretty good. Let me just take us around and see what's happening here so y'all can see that Cheryl and I, we are very much for real about what's taking place with the relaxer. And there she is. Where is she? There she is, the hair oracle right there. And I'm just going to walk back over here and get myself out the way. What's going on, Jamelia? How you doing out there? I'm usually loud, but y'all know I ain't by myself this time. So let me just give y'all an update about what's happening here in San Diego, California. As you guys know, there are some serious, very, very serious concerns about the hair relaxer. And so the allegations or the concerns, I should say, I'm like I'm in court. Anyhow, so the concern is that the relaxers are linked to cancers. And the ingredient that they have identified is formaldehyde, which we all know black folk ain't ever used no formaldehyde in any relaxer. So we can see that the term relaxing and straightening hair, both of those are being used interchangeably. And so there is a lexicon or a nomenclature of sorts that we use in our industry. And so, for example, when we say straighten hair, we mean what? Straightening comb. We don't mean chemicals because this is our language. When we say relax hair, we mean relaxers. And when we say relaxer, we know that that means either lye, sodium hydroxide, or calcium hydroxide. There are other forms such as lithium, um, I think it's potassium, and I'm forgetting the other one, but there are guanidine. That's it. So those are the other types of relaxers, okay? And so we know we ain't about to sit up here and lie and act like relaxers don't cause irritation, but that is what sodium hydroxide does. It is caustic, and it does cause skin irritation, but no more than frying some chicken. I know I'm about to say, I know y'all like, Ladosha, you so crazy. But yeah, you get burned by some cooking oil when you fry chicken, but you don't say what. Um, that, hot oil causes cancer. It just means step back away from the stove, or turn that fire down, or make sure your chicken isn't soaking wet. So there are some directives where you can reduce the likelihood of burning yourself when you're frying food. And so the same can be said when it comes to the relaxer, but we're not quite sure um, how we got here. So what we're going to do is keep you guys aware and abreast of what is happening here in San Diego as we, take the deep dive and question what are you guys saying? Is this lazy journalism? I don't know. Is this you? Ladosha, y'all don't have the facts. That could very well be the truth, but you know what you say. You don't know until you what? Ask. So this is our ask. And so we appreciate you guys in advance for taking the time out of your day, or if you're in the grocery store line or you're at work. Let me see what Cheryl doing. So thank you guys so much. So stick around. Drop your questions in the chat. Don't forget to share the link and speak your piece. We're not here to try to tell people what to say. We definitely don't want to argue with anybody. We want to be a solution because you know what your parents say, right? If you ain't part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. So we're not here to be a part of the problem. We are here to be a part of the solution. And cosmetologists are um, notoriously known for not being a part of the solution. At least rumor has it. All right. But that's what those are. Those are just rumors. Cosmetologists and barbers, and as licensed professionals, we are very proactive in our careers, and we do believe in safety. You don't hear that. I'm not quite sure about what people do at home, but I know that professionally we do, we work purposefully to make sure that you guys are safe when you get your hair done. And when we make a mistake, I've burnt some ears. I've burnt some hair. I've made several mistakes in my career. And if I knowingly made the mistake, I let the person know and I apologize up front. If and maybe I didn't know or didn't realize, and someone calls back and say, "Hey, you did this to my hair," I believe them. I'm not about to argue with a person who's, I apologize. I'll give them a refund if I can. I'll try to make it right. But that is pretty much the operation. You ready? Okay. They say, stop talking, Kayla. What you trying to do? You're lying. You're lying. Where you at? Hold on. X out. TikTok. Here I come. Go live. Okay. She like, Kilo, get back in here. Okay. Going back. Here you go, Rashida.
My sister. I'm grateful that you all run on my time. I just thought I'd be late.
We were waiting for you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am Cheryl Morrow. I am the daughter of the late, great Willie Morrow. And I'm going to take some time to introduce those who are with me today. And to my far right is Dr. Lawana Richmond and Mr. Lorenzo Griffin. And behind me is Ladosha Wright. And we have our Mindia Rojas. And we have, to my far left, Theo Garfield. And so we would like to begin. And today is historic. And because San Diego actually is historic, because this is the home of the Afro natural movement, and very important city in the relaxer conversation. So, as a former practicing barber and cosmetologist myself, and as the world's expert on textured hair and relaxer formulation, I co-founded the Relaxer Advocates. We are prepared to step in as expert advocates and expert witnesses to say to research firms and all law firms, take your hands off of our legacy. And that's a very important point. In 2016, FDA began efforts to ban a chemical called formaldehyde, which has been deemed unsafe. And in 2022, the Notorious Relaxer study highlighted that the frequent use of hair straightening services leads to increased cancer risk. As law firms gear up to exploit this so-called connection, we are the Relaxer Advocates today. We are compelled to say to attorneys like Benjamin Crump and his associates, you will not enrich your law firm coffers on the back of generations of African American beauty entrepreneurs that have strived to build the strongest beauty industry in the world. And that has diligently served the Black communities and has put safety first. So today, the Relaxer Advocates stand with me, and we're going to correct a few things today. One, the term relaxer, just to give you a brief history, is a Black hair care colloquialism. It's a term that has roots on the plantations of America. The original relaxer in Black vernacular is called the concholine, used by men of color for over 50 years before Black women. This formulation only consists of lye soap, which we know as soda ash, axle grease, which we only had access to at that time, and what we know today as Vaseline and potato starch. Famous wearers of this wonderful hairstyle, Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway, and we know Nat King Cole. The original non-commercial version that Garrett Morgan created that was supposed to have commercial usage, however, never reached commercial success. The relaxer version we know today reached the pinnacle of success, but I repeat, never has it included formaldehyde. African American domestics discovered on the plantations that lye soda ash would make things that have texture or like wool smoother. And that's number 2. Number 3, hair straightening products of Europe, Asia, and Brazil are not chemically formulated the same as the relaxer formulation of Black America. This is where the story begins, or the mix-up. The relaxers advocates today are here to correct, no pun intended, to straighten this thing out. That these bogus claims and studies are harmful to millions of American business, salon businesses, and potential beauty school students, and the reputation of the great business builders, such as the Bronner family, the Gardner family, the Dudley Products family, the Comer-Cottrell family, the Johnson Products family, that brought us decades of Soul Train. We, the relaxer advocates, are here today to affirm that we are armed with over a century of expertise. And we are prepared to go into the courts of America and debunk with education, advocacy, and elevated conversation that will improve the relaxing services for generations to come. We will not sit back and allow research study firms who have no chemical knowledge and certainly no chemical history that lead this conversation forward. The relaxer advocates will not allow these studies to go unanswered. Studies that draw no link to one ingredient found in the American version of the relaxer. Historically, we have formulated our version of relaxers with sodium hydroxide, which also come in other beauty products and food grade products. And frankly, I have felt compelled because my father has devoted his entire career to elevating and making relaxers safer. The relaxer advocates stand for expertise, education, and elevation. We believe that our advocacy is not about dispelling good chemical research. That's important. That improves hair relaxing and or texture enhancement to make them safer is exactly what we stand for. We are all for safety. That's why the relaxer advocates were formed. The relaxer advocates are also devoted to moving and expanding the innovation of relaxer technology. In 2007, my company, under the direction of the late great Dr. Willie Morrow, we are moving the needle forward with here centered California Green, which has been formulated since 1997. In order for the hair care industry to become safer and have good research studies, these research firms must have access to the best information and access to the best experts in the field in which they are studying. Expert education and advocacy is what should lead people to live healthier lives and using safer foods for a more healthier lifestyle and, of course, safer beautifying. The next speaker you will hear is a colleague of mine that we have worked very closely in the state of Ohio to create a better Crown Act bill. and education, and to also to increase the hours of education for beauty schools. There is and has been a push to reduce these hours. And this young lady is a top professional and a colleague of mine. Welcome, Ladosha Wright.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so very much for your time. Again, my name is Ladosha Wright. I am the owner of the Reverend Design Team Hair Salon. I'm also a proud member of the Ohio Association of Beauticians and the Ohio Barber and Beauty Alliance. I am also the founder of the podcast, The Dumbest Ish That People Say About Black Hair. Today is an important day for me because I have been a licensed cosmetologist for 23 years, and I got into hair care because I knew something was missing, given my background as an outreach worker. Again, currently, we are working with Ohio State Legislative Body to lobby for higher education when it comes to textured hair, not just focusing on hairstyling, but most importantly, the science. In the last 23 years since the natural hair movement, cosmetologists like myself and my fellow cohorts here, we have been advocating for Black hair to be represented in a light that is true to our history, our practice, and our dedication to safe hairstyling. I met Cheryl Morrow because I knew something false was taking place in the narratives around who was behind what is taking place in the altering of our hair. And so today I stand with Cheryl Morrow, and again, my cohorts to say we want to set the record straight, that we are for safe hairstyling, and we are not above reimagining what we can do beyond the current state of how we alter textured hair. In my 23 years of operating as a licensed cosmetologist and also in my education, also as an educator who traveled to the West Africa, the Gambia, to help write the cosmetology curriculum, I have never ever heard of formaldehyde, phthalate, or any of the other identifying ingredients that they say are in straighteners to be used in hair relaxers. We have always been taught that the ingredient is sodium hydroxide with buffers. We are also taught from OSHA, we also have to submit to the fire departments and our licensings in our salons that we must submit any chemicals that are hazardous, and in those listings, and again with our education, locally and nationally, have we ever been taught that sodium hydroxide in any capacity causes cancer. However, we are taught that it is caustic, therefore that regulates why we must be educated. And then last but not least, I just want to say, from the plantation to our kitchen, African Americans brought our talents of alchemy and hair design into the American economy under the guise of hairstyling and barbering. During the Y2K era of charlatan natural hairstylists concocting fix-it-all potions and salves, promising nothing more than stretched out hair. We know as licensed professionals, many people with textured hair continue to be bewildered. People are looking for diversity and they want it safe, and licensed cosmetologists and barbers, this is our lane, and we would like the opportunity to demonstrate to our marketplace we love them, we care for them, and we can do this. So it is my mission to include proper education as it surrounds Afro hair. Again, as the founder of the Afro Hair Summit, we are committed to the arts and sciences of textured hair, and this is for everyone, because we also know that African Americans do not own textured hair no more than white people own straight hair. This is a science issue. This is not a race issue. We are also spearheading the Crown Bill that will better serve employers, educators, and stylists on textured hair education and appropriateness. Today, we say no more No more attacking African American cosmetologists, barbers in our business in the United States and abroad. We are here to say we are speaking out about the lie meaning sodium hydroxide. So in conclusion, we ask everyone to respect and keep your hands off of our legacy and give us the opportunity to continue to love, grow, and be better and take advice from our customers of how we can do the right thing. Thank you so much.
Wow, okay. Moving right along, and I wanted to just interject that here on this particular table is that we have relaxers that have been stemming from over 60 years. And as also the family of these particular families, being the Dudleys and the Brides and the Cottrells, the Johnsons, that we have always devoted. We have never used formaldehyde. And we are here as the relaxer advocates to that we are devoted to becoming expert witnesses, even if these lawsuits go to trial, that we will be the expert witnesses to step in and to correct these narratives. The next speaker you will hear will be a colleague of mine, and is quite devoted, okay, to this mission. That take your hands off our legacy means that while we are going to be very advocates on safer technology and just expanding the technology forward, we do not want law firms and research firms to do it on the back of the reputation of these great builders. And one of these great builders is Lorenzo Griffin, and welcome him.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. Let me put the mic up a little bit. I really appreciate what you and Ladosha are doing. I really appreciate it. This young lady came out from Ohio, you know. I'm from North Carolina, been in Southern California approximately 35 years. I started in this industry with a company called Dudley Products Company and worked with that company for 20 years. My wife and I started Loran Professional Hair Care System in 2007. You're looking at a young man raised in the lower development homes, the projects. And because of the beauty business, I was able to create jobs and opportunities for other people. Very, very important. Let me set the record straight, as Cheryl and Ladosha has already set it straight. Relaxers does not cause cancer. Relaxers does not cause cancer. That is a fact. Relaxers are not a carcinogenic. It's a scientific proof that relaxers, sodium hydroxide relaxer. By the way, Loran Products relaxer is 2.2% sodium hydroxide.
Absolutely.
2.2%. Spike Lee was it Spike Lee? Chris Rock. Thank you. Thank you. Chris Rock was absolutely wrong for putting a Coca-Cola can in sodium hydroxide.
Absolutely.
And it melted the can. It was 100% sodium hydroxide. Relaxers are innocent until it leaves the jar. I believe relaxers should never have been sold to non-professionals. Never. It should only be sold to licensed cosmetologists, or we like to say cosmetological entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Job makers rather than job takers.
Absolutely.
And nobody can lay a cosmetologist off because their skills pay the bills.
That's right.
This is a job creating opportunity in our community. It's the last economic toehold in our community. Now, I'm from the school of thought. I come from a pharmaceutical background. We had controlled substances in the pharmacy. You just couldn't come to the pharmacy counter and ask for Demerol or Percocet. It's a controlled substance. Relaxers should be a controlled substance. And all these companies that selling their products to non-professionals, therein lies the challenge, my friend. Basing the scalp is so important when it comes to relaxing the hair. You have to put a protective cream, what we call a base cream, on the scalp. Nothing penetrates the system once you lay that base cream down properly. I'm going to keep it tight. Cheryl, that's about it for me.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. She's getting my toe.
But, okay, and to expand on his point again, is that these particular substances are rooted in the formula of relaxers have not changed in the last 75 years. They still stick to an emulsion, sodium hydroxide, conditioners, and Vaseline. That is basically in petroleum. The emulsions get a little more sophisticated, but those ingredients, we make sure that they have no link to any carcinogenic element at all. The next speaker you will hear, I am going to introduce him. He is a operating and a job creator and a hair salon owner. His name is Theo Garfield. Come on.
Give a hand for Cheryl.
All right.
Give a hand for Cheryl. Beautiful thing to be together, the advocates together. Let me tell you who I am. My name is Theo Garfield. I've been in the industry 34 years as a national, international educator. Out of the 34, I worked for manufacturers 24 years out of the 34, and I've been all around the world doing relaxers and sharing with hairdressers how to get the education and training doing a relaxer service. And my thing, what I found out through my travel and my journey, that it's lack of education and training in the relaxer service.
Right.
Just like Mr. Lorena brought up, you must protect the scalp that's prior to doing a relaxer and the hair has been previously relaxed, it must be protected too. So a quarter ounce of protection is better than a pound of correction. So from the beginning, you must protect, but how can we do this without education? Like I said, you think education is expensive, try ignorance.
Absolutely.
And I don't see, like I see in the industry, in the salon, it's lack of training on the application of the relaxer. I don't see, like you say, the relaxer is innocent until it leaves the jar. So I don't look at the relaxer, I look at the relaxer, the person that's applying that relaxer. And do I think it's cancerous? I don't think it's cancerous. Or do I see people getting bad results from the relaxer because of lack of training and lack of education? That's what I see going on in the industry. And once again, I'd like to thank you guys for allowing me to come out here and speak. I'm Theo Garfield. I work at Signature's Hair Studio. I'm a self-published author as well for 20 years, an educator for 20 plus years as well. Thank you guys.
All right. Also, to speak on the safety matter, relaxers, also the manufacturers do require you to use gloves. And because of the lack of education within the last 23 years, because of the natural hair Y2K movement, it's easy to vilify, demonize, and kind of defame and criminalize an industry that is kind of lackadaisical in education. The relaxer advocates is that middleman. We are marching forward. This is a very important issue for us, and we are stepping out as the experts. This is very important. Our next speaker is one that spent a lot of time with my father, and sometimes on Saturdays we just sit, and she was a part of his business boot camp, and she actually saw how diligent she was. She actually also saw the making of what we call, I think, the greatest formulation in relaxer innovation, which is California Green, which I'll close with. But she was always sticking around, and her name is Dr. Luana Richmond, so welcome her.
Okay, so I am not a hairdresser and I don't relax my hair, but I do believe that, the truth is more important than any of those other things that I just said. And the conflation, we're looking at, what we call a logistical fallacy, where, if this happens and that happens at the same time, the same place, this caused that. And the reality is you've already heard about what the chemicals are that have been identified as problematic. And we've also learned that those chemicals are not present in relaxers. And I would say, my background in Afrofuturism is really about us looking at where we are, where we've been, and how we can move into the future in a positive way. And I believe that attacking the economic base, one of the economic bases in our community based on fallacious information is not only tragic, it is also problematic. When we look at entrepreneurship and opportunity and vision, and then when we look at Black hair, the fact that we had to have a Crown Act where we needed legislation to be free to wear our hair however we choose to, and now relaxers, which if you look, one of the earliest billionaires in our community, it was based on hair care and hair products. I think the other part of that, which I didn't really hear anybody touch on, is the fact that currently in most states, Black hair care is not necessarily fully covered in cosmetology licensure. And so not only are we talking about attacking the area where people have not only their own expertise, but many of them have family legacies where they have knowledge and institutional knowledge that is passed down. I really encourage people to look to the experts when making decisions about these products.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
Thank you.
2 points I wanted to address with the press conference where Attorney Benjamin Crump and others have announced their lawsuits is that these relaxers are disproportionately marketed to Black women. Black people's business, Black hair care started segregated. And the Black consumer, the Black female consumer, our consumerism is segregated in the beauty industry, called Black hair care. So when companies like L'Oreal acquired these companies over the years, that would be stupid for them to not continue to market to the economic base in which they acquired the company. Okay, that is economics. Okay, no one buys a company and then changes the demographic. That's ludicrous. So I want to also debunk that particular talking point that law firms use. The second one is that there is no research and has not been any research in the Black hair care relaxer movement. We have moved this forward. We have moved it forward beginning in 1997, when we had the attack of Rio, then Copa, and then the Brazilian keratin and the Brazilian blowout. Also, that thioglycolic acid is also another favorite ingredient that Asian and Brazil and European companies use. But that ingredient called formaldehyde is one ingredient that we have never had access to. Okay, we have never used it. It's very important.
Right.
So as we expand the conversation forward, the innovation forward, we have been pushing for safer technology. California Green, you can go look at it on YouTube since 2007, I'm sorry, correction. And that we have moved this conversation forward with the thermotriactamine formulation, which Dr. Morrow introduced in 2007. So we have, so I say to all of these law firms, all of these attorneys, all of these research firms, the National Institute of Health, and the sister studies, thank you, Ladosha, that you need to get on our expert and find out what we're doing. Like, find out what we have done already.
Right.
That's important. To when you want to do studies, come to the experts, come to the relaxer application, get the information so we can also help you make a better study, so you can have stronger expert conclusions that will move the consumer body forward. So I want to just thank everyone for coming, and that concludes. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yes, please.
There is a question.
Yes, Drew Miller with ABC 10. Can you elaborate a little bit more? You said there were some lawsuits. Who followed the lawsuits and kind of what is?
These lawsuits, were, well, the most notorious one is where, attorney Benjamin Crump and attorney, Deandra Zimmerman, went on national, TV to announce a lawsuit, which is probably going to follow more class action, lawsuits as well. But let me just set the record very clear. They are assuming that these will settle because they are maybe thinking that we don't have any expert information. They're probably thinking that we don't have research, and they're probably not as informed as they should have been prior to filing. And we are, the relaxer advocates, saying we're gonna push you to trial. We are going to be expert witnesses, and we are going to walk every subsequent trial, and we are gonna walk it back step by step, science by science by science that can be proven, and that we will challenge you. You will not go unchallenged. Okay? So I hope that answers your question.
What part of the lawsuit specifically though on their end do you have a problem with? Because you all agree formaldehyde is not great. Yeah, so what part of their claims are you like saying that?
It's like Dr. LaWanna Richmond said, it is the conflating that's the issue. When you are talking about hair straighteners, you're not colloquially talking about relaxers, but you are putting the Black woman's face on the lawsuit. And Black women are synonymous with sodium hydroxide, not formaldehyde and thiol acid-based relaxer straightening creams.
And what is your fear if they were to be successful and win their suit? What is your fear? Obviously, you mentioned, just businesses, but, or are you afraid that the FDA will ban certain chemicals? Like, what's your main thing that you don't want to happen?
Well, what we don't want to happen is, one, to ruin the reputation of the Black hair care industry.
And it's already happening.
Right. And that, right. Would you like to answer the question?
Sure, anyone, yeah?
Yeah, let me add something.
Go
Basically, that would send a ripple effect in the economic foundation of the Black community. Okay, I talked to a young lady in Dallas, Texas. 90% of her clients have a relaxer. The relaxer is perfectly safe in the hands of a professional. Here's what we're recommending, because we don't want to give labor pains without giving a solution, without giving the baby. Okay, relaxers should only be applied by professional hairstylists. That's it. Cigarettes is a known carcinogenic, but it's the Surgeon General put a warning that this causes cancer. Okay, so worst case scenario, you can just make relaxer controlled substance, put a warning on it. But if you get your hair done by a professional, you're perfectly safe. Okay. You got me?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I just say the same thing. And this is why we appreciate responsible journalism, because that's how I got into this. Is what I saw was intellectual laziness on behalf of some journalists, not giving us the opportunity or not telling the story forthright. When you say straightening to African Americans, that means straightening comb.
Right.
It doesn't mean formaldehyde or keratin treatments. That's one. Two, in all honesty, the bulk of African American women would never spend that kind of money to straighten their hair. When one, they could use a straightening comb. We've been using this stuff for a long time, those things for a long time, one. And then two, the relaxer has been safe and affordable. And so when you make these clients, you switch the face. And you put Black women and little Black girls and models on the cover when you know that the companies who are doing this, these are not African American owned companies. These people put me through college through the United Negro College Fund. I'm not the only African American who has benefited from the many donations from all of these legacy companies. And so we're here to say, like Cheryl said, we can do better. But like he said, the worst case scenario, I'm not a chemist, I'm not a researcher, but if that was the case, they could put a warning, but I highly, highly, highly doubt it, given its over 100-year usage of sodium hydroxide in the United States of America and abroad. It has never been founded or even considered a carcinogen.
Do you all agree that formaldehyde can lead to cancer? Is there agreement there? Are there some common areas?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. We are not anti-research.
Sure.
We are not anti-safety. If black hair care has been one of the safest beauty industries in the world. So, what we are saying is, if your political and economic goal is to make people's worlds safer and their options safer, go get the culprit, then have the research done, and let's have some results. Let's have some conclusions that we can say, oh, it's that ingredient, or it's this ingredient, or it's that ingredient, not to create and destroy people's economic and livelihoods with a collaborative study that leads to nothing. And my last point before we close is that we are saying, as the relaxer advocates, law firms would better suit their coffers or whatever they want to enrich themselves, or they want to be more aligned with the public, is for us to deal with the dress code and the fact that African American women are stressed about what to do with their hair and their children's hair and being harassed and can't go to school and cannot be in the classrooms and cannot be on campuses. Your law degree would be better served in dealing with HR and employers and move the dress code forward so everyone, yes, we can clap and move that forward. And we would also like to join that conversation, yes.
So actually, that leads to my next question. What do you think about, like, more and more women are rocking their natural curls? Anyone can comment on that, but, relaxers will probably always be needed, but, a lot of women just embrace them like a guy.
Well, they never stopped. And like Ladosha is saying, the trend could probably be going. One of the reasons why we have the California Green and we have moved the safer technology and expanded it is because people want texture transition and they want to be curly one day and they want to have this texture movement more fluidly. So, but we have been doing that since 2007. But when you have some kind of feckless or some kind of, backhanded way of trying to ruin their reputations with these lawsuits, we are standing with manufacturers saying that the relaxer advocates, we want to help you be safer.
And stop the division.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dividing. Yeah.
So what is it that we can do from us looking in to help basically protect our own?
Good
So what is it
question.
that we can do on the outside?
Right, and I'm gonna answer that quickly because we're gonna go to the next phase. Let me just say this. What you can do is to question, to get educated, to call the relaxer advocates. We will send you materials so you can have a more critical analysis, a broader perspective, so you can get the whole truth and not just what is just shooting out in the media, not what it just people, because people are, we're not saying that people probably, women are not getting uterine cancer, or they're not having fibroid issues, or even men having prostate issues. The key here is to make sure that we get the right villain. We get those chemicals out of these particular products. That is what we are more advocating for. We are all in this constructive approach, a clear and critical approach. And that is, and we want to grow the American economy. We want to grow these business for African American employers and job creators and barber stylists, and that is what our goal is.
Because that Boston study, if that's the one you're talking about,
Yes.
like followed women for 22 years, there was a little, like a thousands of women, care to respond to what their findings were and?
Well, when you have collaborative, correlated studies, I could have taken the fact that we've all brushed our teeth, or we all ate McDonald's at some point, or we all eat fried food, or we all are in stressful environments. There's a lot of things that you and I do the same that could have had some kind of real connection there. But one thing that we want to make sure, and then to answer also, to elaborate on your question, is to make sure that we are critical in the thought process and that the narratives don't get away from us. And then now, as advocates, we have to deal with the falsehood, trying to get the education. And a well-informed consumer that's the real power.
And last question for me, and sorry I've been so greedy. Appreciate it.
No, I love the preparation.
So the FDA is coming out with their like final findings, it sounds like in April of next year. So are we just kind of, what's the next step basically? When will you guys step in? Will you step in for all of these 8,000 lawsuits that they claim to have, or?
Two-pronged. We are dealing with, and we are prepared to deal with and become expert witnesses in whatever those law firms, and those law cases become. But also, while at the same time we're doing that, the relaxer advocates are also supplying their own supportive surrounding material, information, website, and outreach, going to salons, making sure that we have joined some book clubs and making sure that we get into the community so where they are informed, but also to help the FDA maneuver, because they know, we know that these people are administrative people, okay? They're not hairstylists, they're not foremen or chemists, or people who do research on innovation. Dr. Morrow had about 63-year jump on everyone. And to impart that into his daughter, my commitment is to not see this industry die under these types of lies and falsehoods. We will not stand here and to allow, and it doesn't make a difference if it comes out of a black mouth or a white mouth. It doesn't make a difference. You have to get the information correct, because our first goal is to have an informed consumer. There's a lot of biracial textures in this country and in the world. And they believe that African American science and products are more conducive for their hair. We have to make sure, just as our bottom line, as a work ethic, and as our beliefs, to make sure that they're safe. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate that.
And I bet,
Sorry. Yes,
and I bet everyone up here would want this too. Would you all
and
be,
that concludes our press conference. Thank you.
would you all be able to say and come up to the mic and say and spell your name just so we have it all correct? That's okay.
Ladosha
Thank
Wright,
you, Mr. Harris.
and you spell that LADOSHAWRIGHT, Ladosha Wright.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Lawana Richmond, and it's spelled L-A, capital W-A-N-A, Richmond, like the city, R-I-C-H-M-O-N-D.
Theo.
Theo Garfield, Theo Garfield, Garfield.
Lorenzo Griffin, Lorenzo Griffin, GRIF like Frank, F like Frank, IN. Thank you for those questions.
Yeah, those questions were awesome. CHERYL MORROW, Cheryl Morrow. Got it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd love to get a shot of your hand too, if I may. Yeah.
This is my phone.
That's what I thought. Give me, I'm just getting focused. That's awesome.
Yeah. That one, exactly.
And,
Oh, yeah.
and then are there any, that I want to keep asking questions, but I got more. Like, are you curious to work on like live? I guess what I'm wondering what you're reading.
I did the same thing.
That's what you're saying, it's very small. That's kind of what I thought. So there's.
Sir, you've been.
Is that even anything anymore? Is it still in the front?
Either nobody knows or it's. Thank you.
Since we're chatting, I'm like, might as well film it. I was thinking about it. I didn't see where you are.
Talk about different aspects of it. And I feel like this is the issue that we're gonna have to deal with more. Because
Okay, so tell me, you don't have to figure, tell me what you do.
Thank you all.
Start using flat iron. That is when it becomes a base. And those fumes are
I think they made this because they need it.
that sodium
Because we can do
does
some
not
things,
let,
but,
does not
yeah,
have a.
it's unfortunate, and.
Once it's.
So just so someone knows, in general, so I was doing a screening a while ago.
Because you're setting the edge,
Check.
so it's going
So it
down,
went out live.
it's
It's
not
also, we're gonna
getting
also put it on
strong,
my YouTube channel.
it's getting
So
weaker.
Yeah.
it'll be there.
So you have to not work it.
Rocky,
Let's see somebody
ROC,
around.
it'll be there, and then.
And would you argue that obviously, like many of you said, it should only be applied by like a true professional? I think that letter has it.
As well.
Well, it's not gonna
But,
happen.
yeah, we want to make sure we got it out to.
Yeah.
Come on now.
There you are.
You know, the big thing,
And let me just say